Can you see my screen okay?
This meeting is being recorded.
Got it. Can I get a thumbs up? Can you see my screen?
I think it's still black.
Okay. Let's see. Show new share. Let's try the whole screen. Select tire. Is that better?
I don't know.
Maybe?
In my screen, I cannot see it yet. Can you see it?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Can you? Oh, yeah.
It works? Okay. Perfect. So as Haikal mentioned, thank you so much for the introduction, by the way. I met Haikal through our studies for our Masters in Education in Play, Toys, and Languages, from which I studied for my thesis on emotional vulnerability. So this is the brave, raw connectivity that, if we are willing, we put ourselves out there for. From my thesis, I have continued working primarily with children in all sorts of outdoor settings to work into healing through play. So to begin, our objectives, my objectives, playing and healing with anyone, initially to understand play more deeply, so we may find it in various aspects of life. Second, to connect with our childlike curiosity and our innate creativity. I do believe that as humans, we just are born with this creative ability. And finally, to foster deeper compassion and meaningful connection through emotional intelligence. So this is in sometimes surprising encounters. So a quick overview, we're about 5 past now, it'll run about an hour. We'll start just defining some terms, and then we'll work through a guided reflection and some journaling. So if everyone could have a notepad and pen, I'll partake in this as well. So have something ready that you can write with. This is really beneficial in the self-awareness piece and unlocking some of those subconscious beliefs that we carry that might not come through initially, but when we're journaling, I find it's a really helpful tool to get into those deeper ideas. And then we'll finish off with some sharing if we have anyone so brave, and hopefully a bit of conversation and some questions. So to start things off, play, very simply boiled down, is aimless amusement. This to me is a huge spectrum of anything personally that you find amusing, so that you find enjoyable or fun. Without an aim, this means it has no output, no payment, it's not work. So pretty broad umbrella there. And then emotional intelligence initially was studied by Mayer and Solovey in 1997. They defined it as one's ability to understand and regulate our own emotions, and then to empathize, to be able to recognize the emotions of others. And then interestingly, this quote at the bottom just goes through how play naturally brings up these situations where we express, regulate, and practice coping strategies by both acting out and facing that whole spectrum of emotions. So frustration, fear, aggression, anger. If you work with kids, you obviously see this arise in trouble sharing or lack of patience, whatever the situation may be. But through play, there really is this very lush soil, if you will, that's just very productive for these emotions to naturally come up. And if we are so curious and interested, we learn to express and kind of work with and emote through those situations. So play provides, as I was just saying, a very safe environment to unpack emotional traumas, has been found to support both ego mastery and ego dissolving or shedding, pretty deep topics, and also develops emotional socialization. So through the social aspects of play, sharing is a great example of this, even as adults. I had a moment the other day where I had a great opportunity through playing that I didn't want to share one of my tools I was working with. I was out skiing and I didn't want to trade skis with someone. And through those social moments, I had that ability to step back and witness my emotional response and then kind of have that conversation. And finally, father of psychology, Lev Vygotsky, back in 1978, noted that for play to be meaningful and memorable, importantly, it must have an emotional response attached to it. So this will be important when we get back into our journaling in just a bit. So this is a big, I don't even know if you can call it a Venn diagram, but this is kind of where my research has taken me recently. Working on a few different workshops, The Art of Play being the title of one of them, collaborating with a painter, um, resilience, um, just really digging into what these personal experiences can be, kind of led to this 4-part, I guess, unfolding of the benefits and the art of play. So if we start up at the top, we have connection, which has also been found to be integral in cultivating emotional resilience, um, strong relationships. So the more we recognize our own emotions and build this own competence and our ability to self-regulate, the more we build trust in ourselves. So we get into that vulnerability where we are brave enough to express our truths or to love another human. And this naturally builds community and is also based off radical honesty. So through play, we have these opportunities which arise that allow us to connect more deeply. And then shifting just to the right in the yellow, we have curiosity. Play is a naturally curious state, being that it's aimless and allows for this exploration. It's naturally fun. So we see that aimless amusement again. It's filled with trial and error, which to children doesn't matter. To adults becomes failure and fear, which can be reframed as growth mindset and this ability to witness. So this has been a really interesting practice. A lot of my research came back to the importance and one's ability to hold safe space. So when witnessing or connecting or supporting a friend, child, a loved one, whomever it may be, um, having a big emotion, having an intense emotional response, this ability to witness and hold safe space objectively. So not judging, but playing that witness has been really huge through play, being able to remain curious and flow with it. So moving down clockwise between curiosity and creativity, I kind of felt the imagination come in. So there's a lot of research that also pins pretend play with positive development of imaginative ability, which with the influx of technology and the way the world is evolving, I think cannot be understated. The importance of daydreaming and pretending is such a beautiful trait in children that I think is often lost in adults. And then the second in that category was flow. So this is in psychology, the flow state is often linked with bliss, but it's very much the ability to be so engrossed in a topic or a task that you lose track of time. You might, lose, like put on blinders and lose focus on whatever else is going on around you. But flow state is a very beautiful phenomenon that I think arises pretty naturally through play, especially in the realms where I'm working. So I'm in outdoor play primarily in adventure. So skiing, sailing, surfing, any of these wilderness kind of play situations, it's pretty typical that participants find that flow state. And then moving along, creativity, releasing expectation and judgment. So similar to curiosity, I thought creativity is a little different in that there's kind of a channeling ability that happens. So again, through playing, whatever you're playing, if you're playing blocks, if you're building Legos or you're drawing, and there's no end result in mind. So coming back to that idea of aimless amusement, you could be drawing if you're an artist and you have a task and you have a deadline. You're very focused. You might find that flow, but you might not be in that true form of play. But what comes with that creativity, releasing the judgment, is it's kind of this state of allowing, of seeing what channels through, what comes through. And I think that can be physical, mental, creative, physically drawing, painting, whatever it may be, dancing, singing, all sorts of beautiful, beautiful outputs there. Moving up from the blue between creativity and compassion, we find passion, intuition, and purpose. These are all pretty heavy hitters of important aspects of life that I think can be tapped into, again, through play. And then coming back up towards connection, we have compassion. And this is where the emotional knowledge, self-awareness is the first, really comes into play. So compassion naturally is for oneself initially, but then as we practice, it can be shared with others. So this is where our presence, our awareness and ability to read and connect with others really develops. And coming back to connection, that last little pink bubble through play, I think we can find love. I think there's a lot of potential to engage with others more honestly without the ego, without the societal perceptions, without all of these limiting beliefs and ideas, and just be, just be our true selves. So we'll see if any of this comes out for anyone. I know this is really deep and a lot. It's kind of just my brain dump recently. But yeah, I think it's all facilitated through play, through fun. So if we could, if everyone has, you can type if you're comfortable with that, but I really love the physicality of pen to paper. I'll set a timer here for 10 minutes. And I would love if everyone would reflect on a poignant, happy memory from childhood when you were absorbed in play. It could be in nature, it could be a game, it could be a video game, it could be together or alone. There's a few other pointers down below if you get a little stuck, but really just dive into the essence of that experience, what you recall, the emotions that were present. And we'll regroup in 10 minutes at 9:28.
Okay, so let me instruct this as well. I cannot see the first line. Okay, so this is what you have to draw, right? Or just write?
Just writing, yeah.
Just
If
write.
drawing
Okay,
is more natural, that's okay. But
okay, okay. Okay. Allow me to speak in Bahasa Indonesia, Jen. Is that okay? Oke, jadi buat teman-teman di sini yang diminta oleh Jen sekarang adalah untuk apa ya, mengingat kembali atau menuliskan kembali tentang bagaimana pengalaman teman-teman pada saat teman-teman masih kecil. Jadi kayak sedikit merefleksikan happy memory yang pernah teman-teman rasakan di masa kecil, ya di saat teman-teman masih kecil. Jadi misal pertanyaan pertama adalah seperti apa sih lingkungan waktu teman-teman kecil dulu, gitu ya. Kemudian apa dan dengan siapa teman-teman itu bermain. Kemudian what emotions arise recalling this time. Kira-kira eh, apa perasaan yang teman-teman rasakan pada saat itu? Maksudnya dari setiap emosi itu kan ada yang happy, ada yang eh, apa namanya mungkin sad, sedih gitu ya. And then ketika ditanyakan lagi, teman-teman bisa nggak sih untuk apa ya menciptakan atau membuat suasana tersebut? Itu lagi bisa nggak kira-kira? Gitu ya. You can actually write it in bahasa Indonesia or in English. If it's in bahasa Indonesia, I will help you to translate it to Jen. Jadi bisa diketik aja juga nggak apa-apa. Oke? Of course, you can speak directly to Jen if you want to ask or to share, for sure.
What do you think? Are we ready? We're getting many
Sure.
requests to share. I'm
Sure,
excited.
that's good.
Is it Taga? How do you pronounce your name? Raising
Sorry?
your hand.
Okay, it's Teguh.
Tagu.
Teguh, yeah.
Would you like
Yeah,
would you
Teguh.
like to share Tagu? And then we'll go through the chats.
Okay, thank you. Good morning,
Hello.
everybody. Yeah, can you listen to my voice? Okay, thank you for the time being given. Good morning from my side, and good evening maybe over there, Mrs. Jenn, Fortin, and also good morning, Mr. Mas Haikal. Thank you for the time. Well, I think it's nice presentations from Mrs. Jenn just now, and I would like to share a little bit about my experience when I was still child, like that. Is it right? Yeah. Okay. I first of all, I don't know it ends with happy or sad, but I would like to say when I was still child, I had experience of moving to many places since my parents did it. I mean, I moved from one place to another ones, and consequently, I had many friends with a different in a different places, and many experience with them, and also uh, what's that? Yeah, experience with different situations in different places like that. For instance, like I had some experiences moving to from one school to another school. Automatically, I also had different friends there, and I made friends with different people over there uh, in different situation automatically like that. Yeah, until now. I still remember with my old friends when my friends who I met when I was still child, until now I still keep contact with them, and yeah, still reminds my old time with them when we're still child like that. I think it's nice experience to me. That's all, maybe, Miss. Sorry for being sadistic.
Thank you. No need. It's very interesting having such a different childhood with so many friends in different places. I'm curious if you remember in different countries if you played differently or if you played the same games and with
Yeah,
similar toys when you moved.
yeah. Uh, what's that? My parents moved from one place to another place because they ran a different house like that. You got the point what I mean? Yeah,
I do.
and
Yeah.
yeah, like that. So consequently, I also moved with my parents and had a different uh, friends, and yeah, like that.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we go? There are many in the chats too. Would anyone who has typed anything like to discuss? CT maybe? Nabila?
Okay,
Very nice.
let
Yeah,
me
CT, hi.
share. Yes, you can call me Lisa for short, Miss.
Lisa. Lisa,
Okay,
thank
Lisa.
you.
So for the first question, I can answer that. Oh, shoot, let me introduce myself first. My name is Rindra Haliza. I'm still in sixth semester of my college, and I'm from Indonesia. So, for the first question, my environment is like social. I mean, like they easy to socialize with another neighborhood. Like, my friend just moved into other housing, and they said to me that their housing like kind of private, like don't want to uh interact with each other. So as my experience, it's like my environment, like easygoing, sociable, like they always there for us when they need when we need help. And I often play with my friends, like with the same age, or maybe like younger than me, or maybe like older than me. um for the could you recreate this play in your current life? Maybe it's kind of hard because it's already different generation. As you can see, today's childhood, like full of gadgets and always on the phone. Okay, that's all, Miss Jen.
Thank you very much. Very nice, Lisa. Do we have big family neighborhoods? Maybe Nabila?
Someone is asking in Bahasa Indonesia. So
Oh
do
yeah.
you mind me to share?
Would you? That's lovely.
Okay. Allow me to share. So when I was a kid, there are some experience that I encounter that make me a little bit traumatic. Even up to now, I cannot get over it from the memory, uh, and the what is it, the feeling that I that I experience. So my question is about how to actually deal with that traumatic experience, especially like sometimes it makes me afraid to some circumstances. So it's about dealing with traumatic experience.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry you had that experience.
Yeah.
That's, well, getting right into it, I suppose. That's unfortunately a part of life, is we experience these traumas physically, mentally, sexually in these bodies. And first and foremost, I would recommend seeking support from a professional if that is possible for you. I really believe in mental health support. And if this is something that's still impeding your life, if it's still blocking your ability to live fully and connect with others and be your true self, then it could be beneficial to seek higher care. Um, through through play and the self awareness and resilience that I have done research in, I've found many programs that really focus on inner child healing. So there's internal family systems is one. My personal therapist actually and I have done years of work unpacking and digging back into what these different protective mechanisms are in your brain. And so the basic idea of internal family systems, IFS, is this idea that you have different parts that come up and try to protect you. And so when you were a child and you experienced this trauma, there was a big part that kind of learned to run the show. So they got more control than maybe was necessary and is still acting as the leader. So they're still in charge. So through therapy, through journaling, through communicating with friends and trusted loved ones, I do believe there's healing possible, but it's a really challenging path, and I do hope that you find peace and you do find some healing through that. I don't know if you can translate any of that.
Oke, so jadi sebenarnya yang disampaikan oleh Miss Jenn adalah yang pastinya kita harus benar-benar sadar bahwa mental health itu sesuatu yang sebenarnya tidak apa ya, sesuatu yang memang harus diperhatikan. Sehingga saran dari Miss Jenn tadi adalah kalau bisa untuk teman-teman itu yang terutama yang sedang mengalami masalah dengan mental health ini bisa ketemu dengan let's say in this case mungkin psychologist gitu ya untuk eh, apa ya, untuk langsung ngomong, untuk langsung berkonsultasi sehingga bisa mengatasi atau menghadapi masalah ini. Kemudian support dari keluarga juga sangat dibutuhkan gitu ya. Dan tentu untuk dealing dengan trauma ini sebenarnya bukan waktu yang sebentar, membutuhkan waktu yang lumayan, tapi yang harus diingat bahwa tadi support yang ada di lingkungan, baik dari teman, baik dari keluarga, baik dari eh, psikolog mungkin itu juga sangat membantu gitu. I think that's all. Ada lagi yang mau share? Does anyone wants to share or directly speak to the microphone? Or yeah, they share some.
Thank you
Uh,
for sharing.
yeah, they share some here as well. When I was a child, I played with my parents and big family, and sometimes playing around with from neighbors. That friend, it's older than me. It was beautiful, but now it's all moving and going to other city and left me alone with my father and mother. Feels a bit lonely. How can I build the feeling it's like it was? So I stay in some more time with my family now. So it's about childhood experience that meeting with friends, but then when they grew up, they have to move to different places and different cities. So we cannot always meet. Yeah.
Loss is
Can
a
I
big
share? Can I share about my experience as well? Can I share
yeah.
about my experience as well? Okay. So I actually live in a very east of uh Indonesia. It's in East Indonesia. So in Indonesia we call it as West Papua. So it was the place that I live, it's like 95% I will say surrounded with nature, like forest and beach. So very close to beach and forest. So I don't really go to mall or playing with some like some modern toys. So just like hanging around with friends and surrounded with the nature, hide and seek play. So I don't really play with, like toys, like modern toys, like maybe some robot or no, it's not my cup of tea. So at that time, I just spending the time with my friends outside. So that's what I can share to you. So I don't really know what some toys that are, like because it's like very far away from it's like 6 hours away from the city. So we cannot really afford in terms of distance and of course with the situations.
It's very nice. I had a similar childhood. I grew up in Maine in the northeast of the US, and I also had the ocean and the woods, and very much a part of my reflection was climbing in trees and being lost in the forest. And I think that's a very, especially now with the rise of technology and so many families living in cities, nature is really one of the best medicines, I truly believe. I also wanted to hop back to the chats here. There was a question of how to release the trauma of childhood. And again, very, very deep, very important healing work that play as an adult can really facilitate that reconnection with the inner child. So, a lot of internal talking, if you will, if you gain awareness of your self talk, of your beliefs, of the voices in your head, which, if we go back to internal parts and IFS, internal family systems, these different parts can be viewed as inputs and protective mechanisms. So, just to skim the surface a little, we're building self awareness through reflection and through therapy and having these different mirrors, relationships. And then through this new awareness, we keep coming back, and it's like training a puppy. So, neurologically, you can change the tracks that may have been trauma responses into something more positive. And again, seeking care of a professional, I really believe and have had success with different forms of healing, such as EMDR, this eye movement desensitization reprogramming. And it's this bilateral stimulation where basically a therapist would bring you through these traumatic moments, and your body and your mind feel and release, and you're kind of guided to let some of that go. So for me, therapy, journaling, reflection, presence, EMDR, all really help to release some of those traumatic experiences. But of course, it is whatever works for you. So if you have something that is working, carry on. It is a persistence game. Let's see, what do we have? The only thing growing up I can cook is mud and leaves. Pretend play made me feel so happy and free every time I remember it. I can even say it's a healing memory for me whenever I feel down. Thank you for sharing that. I feel the same kind of peace. A lot of the reflecting I did was no stress, feeling free from time, no responsibility. That kind of the flow state that was in that Venn diagram is pretty accessible, even in small doses. So, what I'm really hoping to inspire through this conversation, through our reflection, is this sense that there is play and there is this lightheartedness, and there is this joy and this fun all around us. So, the idea of aimless amusement can be applied to anything. If you go out for a walk and you're going to get to class and you're hustling and you're late, you have a mission. You're going to be very, very objective and very much just, I have to get to class. All I'm doing is walking. Whereas if you go out and you don't have a place you need to be and you're skipping and the sun is out and you're hearing the birds, it's a very enjoyable experience. You could be walking playfully. So I think this idea of play really can be regarded as a mindset that I'm hoping more and more people kind of hook onto and can see. Let's see, we have a few more chats coming in, and then I want to open it up for questions as well. We kind of are shifting into that, but if you have any questions, I am an open book and I will do my best to answer anything. I also, let's see, I wanted to share some references, and I can totally share the presentation as well if you're interested. Reflection. Let's see, some references, some comments. Let's see what we have. Playing soccer with my brother's friends because I don't have any girlfriends when I was a kid. I feel you, girl. I was totally the tomboy as well. I wanted to play football and they wouldn't let me join the football team. Not like British soccer, or British football, but big American with the pads and the tackling. Silly. No need to apologize, Amy. I do see your hand up as well. If you'd like to pop in, you totally can. I have been meditating and working through some overthinking myself. Do you want to unmute and speak?
Ami, mungkin mau langsung share atau ngobrol langsung dengan Jenn?
Hello,
Please.
good morning, Miss Jenn.
Hello.
Yeah, regarding what I was read at the top just now, Mr. also already explained to all. Then I want to asking some of like how the dealing and how to feel what I feel now. So, even I can spend with my family, but I still feel a bit lonely and sometimes get overthinking. Then how to deal with like this?
I feel lonely as well. So I definitely know the feeling. Um,
So
with
we
oh,
listen to them.
sorry,
So we have the same feeling.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Oh yeah, maybe the one is my question. Maybe you can answer. Have to answer.
With overthinking,
Just now, already explained to like this. Um, when I was child, I play with my parents and the family, and sometimes I playing around with from neighbor. That friend is older than me. It was beautiful, but now I was it moving and going to other city and left me alone with my father and mother. Feels a bit lonely, but how I can build the feeling is like inward. So I stay and spend more with my family now. But uh, even stay with my family, I still feel it's like lonely and sometimes get overthinking. This my question is, then how to deal it
I
to
think
stop
to
overthinking?
yeah, to be with your family, what I'm hearing, what I'm understanding, you're saying you get lonely even when you're with your family. Is that correct?
Still lonely, even if she stays with family. Sometimes start feeling calm.
Even I stay with family now, but sometimes I still feel lonely and sometimes I get overthinking. Then my question is how to feel that.
How to feel that. Big feelings can be uncomfortable. Loneliness is it's a very complicated one, and I would encourage you to, again, journal. I love the tool of journaling. I think it's just a mirror into our subconscious. But what comes up for me in loneliness and overthinking is a sense of wanting passion, wanting clarity, and seeking something more than what your family is giving you. So I'm yeah, I would say in journaling, just free writing and considering if your family doesn't fill you up, make you feel seen, if you don't feel safe with them, what is the alternative? What would you call in instead of this loneliness? And get very particular, find, because loneliness is a very deep, it's like the ocean, you can get lost in that depth. So what if the opposite is having friends who understand your passions or who enjoy playing the same games or sports or watching the same movies, having connection in different ways that maybe your family doesn't support you. And that is a really challenging feeling to be with, but a lot of the awareness and the processing and releasing of emotions is that safe space. So in cultivating compassion, in building this curiosity, sometimes it is just sitting with that loneliness. And one of my gurus actually talks about depression, and he'll say, "Oh, dig this. Look at this depression. Man, this is a really dark hole I'm in." But knowing and trusting that even though it is the depth of the ocean, it's also the waves on the shore. It will pass. This too shall pass. That no emotional state is forever. They are notoriously temporary. And so to sit with that loneliness and really dig into it, does it have a color? Does it have a texture? Does it bring up any memories? Do you remember the first time you felt this sense of loneliness? Journal, write it all out. It gives that level of separation that you can then read it on a sunny day when the ocean is clear, and you may go back and think or feel, oh my gosh, I was so deep in that. That loneliness really, sometimes it feels like it has you around the ankle, and it's pulling, and it's so heavy and so deep. But for me, that journaling, that reflection allows me to separate and shed that ego, release that belief, so to speak. Does that help at all? Maybe.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Miss Jenn.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
It's helpful. Thank you, Miss Jenn.
Yeah. And I think it's one thing that at least we cannot remember. We cannot just literally forget what happened when the outbreak of COVID-19. I think everyone also feels that loneliness. I myself, like, I don't know, like I've never felt being lonely for the rest of my life, like for almost 28 years of life. But when that COVID happened, it's just like I just stay in my room for more than 2 months. Can you imagine? Like I'm not going anywhere. And when that happens, I know that it's not okay, it's not nice. But what I feel or what I did at the time is to embrace it. And then it's okay. It's okay. I still have a friends to talk to. I still have a family to talk to. But maybe it's different what Amy experienced, but at least that's what I experienced as well. I love singing at the time. I love watching. So that's what I embrace. I mean, even though I cannot clearly remove that feeling, but at least it helps me. At least, okay, I embrace that feeling. Okay, I'm being lonely, but it's okay. Although sometimes it's like ocean, I know, right? Like Jen said, it's like very deep, like, and I cannot see.
Yes. And when we embrace, there's also that sense of releasing, of acknowledging, okay, this sucks. This is really hard right now, but I don't need to control it. I don't need to hold all of this. Here it is, and it will pass.
It's valid, right? It's fine.
Mhm.
Okay. I think Nabila still also respond this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She says, whenever I can, I would still play with the mud and leaves or collect little trinkets and thingamabobs that I found interesting. Feeling like Ariel from The Little Mermaid. That's awesome. That freeing sensation is what I live on day by day. Whenever I look back at the things I collected, the memories make me feel warm. Beautiful. I love the inclusion of collecting things. I was very much like Ariel as well, collecting and finding treasure where other people might find trash. They might see me picking things up at the beach or in the forest and think, what is the importance of that? But I think that's a really beautiful aspect of play, is that it's so personal. It doesn't matter. Give yourself permission to find enjoyment watching the stars or counting cracks in the sidewalk. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. If you find enjoyment in it, I really believe that's a huge part of why we're in these bodies, is to feel emotions, positive, negative, otherwise. They're just feelings. They come and they go, and the more we just release and flow with them, I think that the better our lives can be, the deeper our connections with others can be, the more purpose and passion we may find in these lifetimes, and hopefully some enjoyment along the way. We have maybe time for one more question if there's another brave soul.
Oke, ada yang mau langsung bertanya lagi mungkin ke Jenn sebelum kita akhiri?
We got very deep. I'm very grateful for the bravery, the vulnerability of everyone who shared today. Thank you all very much for being here.
Oke, oke. Oke, Mas Teguh masih mau
Yeah.
bertanya? Ada yang mau ditanyakan lagi?
Okay, the last question. Okay, Mrs. Jenn, I would like to ask you a little question. How big? How how big the experience of our childhood time brings to our adult time. That's it.
Thank you. So I'm understanding how much does your childhood experience impact your adult life? Is that correct?
Yes, that's it.
Very nice. I was just reading and chatting with a colleague about this. And if you're in education, I'm sure you've heard of the nature versus nurture psychology of how impactful the first 7 years of life are. And what more recent research is finding is that we actually have a very impressive ability to rewire our brains. So the neurological pathways, if we are in deep meditative states, EMDR, for example, is one of these modalities that really gets into this theta brain state and enables us to reprogram a lot of our wiring. So the first and usually scariest, hopefully, aspect of this reprogramming is facing if it's trauma, if it's beliefs, if, these very big, impactful experiences. It's not just about what the experience was, it's about how much it impacted you. So if you were a baby and you had an experience of scarcity around food, you could live well into your adult years believing and experiencing the world as a very dangerous, empty, hard, scarce place where it's, everyone fighting for these very limited resources. What this research was arguing, however, is that we do have the ability through awareness, journaling, and reprogramming with repeated repatterning, like training a dog, we can rewire our brains and actually override or reprogram these beliefs. So nature versus nurture, although very interesting and I think still has its place in a lot of society, with higher levels of consciousness and more present moment awareness, we really do have more ability to change our circumstances than I think a lot of psychology from, the 70s and 80s would agree with. Thank you. That was an excellent question.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have more questions before we go to the end? Okay. I think before end this, Jenn, do you mind to close it with your final statement?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me pull my last screen up. If you're interested in reaching out, I would be so happy to hear from any of you, to connect. It's been such an honor sharing space and a bit of my passion and knowledge with all of you. And I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Heikal, for reaching out and reconnecting. I truly believe play is a hugely, hugely powerful force that through aimless amusement, we may facilitate deeper curiosity, compassion with ourselves and others, and connection more meaningfully with people all around the world. Doesn't matter the language or culture. I really, I'm very grateful to share this and see where it takes us. Can you still see the screen I'm sharing? The PowerPoint?
Yeah,
I
we
did.
can see it.
Perfect. Yeah, there's my email is at the top there. It's jfort26@gmail. I would be so happy to receive comments, questions, concerns, anything along those lines. The second is my Instagram. If you're interested in keeping up with my research, which is primarily through my band at this point, I'm applying all of this emotional intelligence to songwriting and my own form of artistic vulnerability, which is performing. And the final link at the very bottom is my website, some music, some photography. My thesis will be up there very soon. And yeah, so grateful. Thank you all so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Jen. Maybe for me, this is going to be the same. I mean, thank you again for willing to participate and involve in this webinar. I believe that the knowledge, the experience, the research that you've shared will be very, very beneficial for all of us. Maybe before we end this, can anyone turn on your camera so we can have a group picture together? Is that okay? Anyone? Mungkin teman-teman bisa, mungkin teman-teman bisa apa ya, bisa nyalakan dulu kameranya sebentar, kemudian kita akan group picture. Oke, yang lain masih ditunggu. Okay, let me count. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 3, 2, 1. One last. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much. Thank you again. I cannot say thank you again to you. And I think that's all, everyone. So I'll see you again in the next upcoming event.
Thank you so much. Be well, everyone. Thank you, Haikal.
Bye.